Hello and welcome to Fulhamish. My name's George Cooper. I'm joined by the one and only Sammy James. How are we doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, we're going to do something a little bit different today. People might be tuning in thinking pre-season. I wonder what tenuous transfer rumour we're going to be discussing. But we wanted to do a little announcement on a few changes that we're making. Something to worry about. We'll still be doing all of our regular Fulhamish content, but we're just making a few sort of structural changes to help us with the way that Fulhamish operates to keep it going effectively. So yeah, I guess we should just jump straight in and say that we're going to be doing a few changes to the way that the Fulhamish website works, and we're effectively relaunching it. So yeah, would you like to explain a little bit about what's that going to mean for the regular listener or reader?
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. Fulhamish is now 9 years old. Can you believe? Approaching the testimonial next year. And for ages, we've wanted to relaunch the Fulhamish website. I think a lot of people know us for the podcasts and the videos, but actually the Fulhamish website is probably one of our most engaged platforms, really. We have a lot of articles going out all the time. Drew runs the website with a tight leash. No, he's very good at being the editor of the website, and we've wanted to relaunch it for ages because initially we built the website when we very, very first started. And I think in the last few years, we just knew that it was time for a lick of paint. So if you go to fulhamish.co.uk, it looks completely different. We've got some great new kind of content strands and writers that are going to be working on the website, which is in amongst a pantheon of brilliant Fulham websites, of which we're many, and we're very happy to be in that space. But yeah, we've moved on to a platform called Substack. It looks really, really neat. So if you aren't subscribed to us on Substack already, then do go and check it out.
Nice one. And despite and as well as the sort of lick of paint, as you said, the sort of new look, as it were, are there any changes to the content that we're going to be making? We got any sort of new signings? What can people expect?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more structured, so a lot more kind of columns and features. We do have a couple of new writers as well, but also many of the kind of Fulhamish writers over the years that people have got to know and love. The likes of Drew, Jack Stroudley, Cam Ramsey, all very much involved in the new website. So, lots of opinion before and after matches. We've got Jack Kelly's going to be writing some articles. Now he's kind of Fulham's independent journalist, so he's going to be writing some articles as well for us. And a couple of new names, TBA, I guess. So do check out the Fulhamish website because it honestly, we're really proud of it. And Drew's done a fantastic job over the years, and it's now completely advert free. So the last website, admittedly, quite a lot of adverts all over it, which we didn't love, and it's not really our style. So now it's on Substack. It's really easy to read, and no more of those annoying pop-up adverts, which I think we can all be grateful for because there's nothing worse, really.
Yeah, a lot of people will be familiar with Substack as a platform, and I think it's important to say that if you're not that au fait with tech, it works very much in the same way as a website.
You just go to fulhamish.co.uk.
Fulhamish.co.uk. There's no change. You haven't got to do anything sort of complicated. It's exactly the same, but effectively this will also mean this move to Substack that we're coming off Leveler, which was a lot of people very kindly sort of contributed and supported Fulhamish that way, and obviously there was the Telegram that was associated with that, but we're making the transition from Leveler to Substack. What does that mean, and why are we doing this?
Yeah, completely. So, from the outset, we've been very grateful for people's financial support to Fulhamish. And for the last few years, we've been using Leveler as the platform for people to do that. And in return for being on the Leveler, I think people knew that when they subscribed to Fulhamish, effectively they were supporting the content. They got access to the Fulhamish community on Telegram, which has been awesome. And we've absolutely loved having this community for the past few years. It's really changed the way that we do things at Fulhamish. It's allowed us to really get to know a lot of the audience, which has been incredible. And genuinely, we found contributors through the Telegram. People like Avas Malik, who's now a regular on the podcast. He was
Liz Barnard.
Yeah. He was a subscriber on the Telegram, and then like we were like, oh, Avas, you seem to know your stuff. Why don't you come on a podcast and stuff?
Yeah.
So it's been awesome from that point of view, but it's been really vital to Fulhamish's kind of continued work, really being able to fund everything that we're doing. But also, I think Leveller and Telegram had its limitations. I think, first of all, people were a little bit unaware what it was or how it operated. So we're now moving from Leveller to Substack. All that means is effectively that if you're a current subscriber on Leveller, and we've tried to get the message out there, we're going to end that. Resubscribe on Substack. You just go to fulhamish.co.uk. We're still going to have the Telegram groups, but also there's a few more advantages to being a paid subscriber as well, because you'll also now get advert-free videos on the Fulhamish website, as well as a few other special bonus things as well. So no, it's a lot of words, right? A Leveller, a Substack. It's quite confusing. Effectively, if you want to help and support the work that we do, head to fulhamish.co.uk. There's a button that says subscribe. You click there, and we're so grateful for that financial support, because as we'll come on to, it's absolutely vital. And Fulhamish doesn't really fund itself. It needs that support from very generous people in order for us to do what we do, and we definitely don't take that for granted.
Absolutely not. And people may wonder, you're saying you're launching these subscription platforms, moving to Substack. Where exactly does that money go? Because people may think that Fulhamish is a big money making operation, but in reality, it isn't the case. And I guess if you had to explain to people where their donations are going in order to help support and fund the podcast, dive into that a little bit, if you would, please.
Yeah, I think we're trying to be open about this, right? It's really something that we don't talk about a lot. People ask us, like, if we meet them down the pub, like, oh, how does it all work with the Fulhamish thing? I never really know and stuff. But maybe we haven't been as open and transparent about this in the past as we can, and mostly it's because, perfectly honest, we want to stick to talking about Fulham, right, and not really the nuts and bolts of Fulhamish. But we thought we'd record this today because we do get asked, like, how does it all work? And like, what's so effectively, Fulhamish at the very, very start was very much passion project, right? I started it when I was a radio producer, and there was 5-6 of us. We all did Fulhamish just alongside our jobs. We recorded after hours. But I think, quite quickly you realise, all right, so people want this to come out every week. They want us to make sure that we don't miss an episode. How do you actually make this sustainable, right? How do you cover for holidays and busy periods in your life? How do you make sure that actually Fulhamish doesn't stop just on the... And ultimately, that's what happens to passion projects, right? You have a big burst of energy at the start, and then after a while, life gets in the way, or you're not making enough money from it, so therefore it stops. No matter how much you love it, eventually stuff gets in the way. So I think early doors we were like, how do we make this work? And so we brought in some level of subscription, and then we started actually paying some of the regular contributors for their time. Like, it's not a lot, but it was enough to just be like, actually, you're doing something for us. You're taking an hour out of your day every Sunday. You're also like, we're taking advantage of people, the fact they're going to Fulham, paying the money, going to matches and all of that. We don't fund any of that, but we were taking advantage of that. So it was just nice to give back to some of the people that were most regular. And then over the years, that's really grown. You and I started a company 4 years ago called Footwork, which is an audio production company. And I think at the very outset, it was about incorporating Fulhamish into what we do, right? We met through Fulhamish and we thought, let's start a company. And so we integrated Fulhamish into the company. And I think in the last few years, we've actually been trying to work out, how do we do this, right? How do we make Fulhamish work within the business? And so Fulhamish effectively we see as a really important part of our business, but we reinvest everything that Fulhamish makes back into Fulhamish. And most recently, we actually have started to hire someone to do the production. So right now, Yasmin, who you'd have heard on the podcast and the quick takes, has been working with for Fulhamish for the last year while she's on placement year from university, and having Fulhamish really has allowed us to give Yasmin a platform with which to build skills, right? And I think what we want to do is build a legacy where actually we've realised that Fulhamish is this perfect place where young people, mostly Fulham fans, we'd expect, can get real valuable experience. And that is so hard. You know, we both work in the media. We both had to really labour and churn out, you know, it's about air miles, right? It's about getting hands-on experience and learning all the processes from pre-production, post-production. It's not easy to get that experience. And actually we're like, Fulhamish is this perfect place for people to get that experience. And I mean, you've worked with Yasmin as well, and I think it's been really interesting how Fulhamish has been this place where she's grown into, you know, a brilliant producer who's going to go back to university next year with a lot more. It's been amazing to see. I think that's what, you know, you and I want to build on, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, even going back many years, that's where I essentially cut my teeth. I learned so many elements of what I do every day as my job now through Fulhamish, and just getting that experience editing and understanding how sort of a media operation works. And just to go back to what you said earlier, Sammy, it was really, really important to us to, you know, contribute and pay people for their time and not just rely on goodwill, because it does eventually sort of run out. But yeah, so in essence, the kind donations that are coming through Substack, everything goes back to the contributors. You know, you and I, we don't take money for our time. It's very much just, we need Fulhamish to wash its own face. Otherwise it will end up costing us money effectively, which obviously we don't want. But yeah, we just wanted to kind of come on here and explain that Fulhamish isn't this big cash cow. You know, it's obviously running a community operation that we, you know, Fulhamish is. We never want to sort of, you know, profit off it. It's not what it's about at all. It's for the fans, by the fans. So this is kind of exactly where things are going, more or less. So.
Well, look, there's so many ways to run a media operation, right? And every big media outlet, it feels like in the last 5 years, has had to bring up this conversation of how do we fund ourselves, right? And some go down the paywalled content route, and then some go down the kind of like donations route. We've tended to go down that, right? So we don't paywall any of our content. The only real benefits you'll get from subscribing to the Substack is, you know, advert-free content and also the Telegram group. But everything else we want to keep free: podcasts, videos, articles, because ultimately we're building something for the community. And the only problem with paywalled content is that it's exclusive to those that can afford it. And we know that there are lots of people listening to this and watching this and reading our articles that actually haven't got that money. And we totally understand that. So we want to keep that money free. But we come across incredibly generous people who always say to us, how can I support you guys? I really want to contribute and stuff. So it's those people that are supporting the community. So, you know, if you watch this, if you watch our podcast or listen to our podcast or read our articles and you want to help, then it's going a long way. It's really, really helping us to keep this going. And, you know, we want this to be the legacy, right? So, you know, sadly, Yasmin has to leave because she's got to go back to university. And we want this to be a yearly thing where actually young Fulham fans come in for a year. They've got a full, actual, proper job, paid experience, and they leave after a year with an incredible vast amount of experience, and they're super employable. And I think that that's an amazing legacy for Fulhamish, and the legacy ultimately that we want it to have, as well as it being a platform for people to share their opinions. And we always want to get better and improve and bring on new voices and represent the community as best as we can. And so if people are able to support us financially, we're super grateful, and it's going an awfully long way. And as we say, we try and reinvest all the money that we earn through Fulhamish back into Fulhamish in some way, shape or form. And fortunately, you and I having the company that we do, there is side benefits to that. You know, this studio that we operate in is our company's podcast studio. Fulhamish benefits from that, and we get so much from Fulhamish being part of Footwork. But yeah, we're also just super grateful to those that already do subscribe, or actually anyone that's listening right now that is thinking of subscribing. That's vital as well.
Yeah, no, it means so much, and it essentially just means that we can continue. Without the generosity of the people who've supported us via the various different platforms along the way, Fulhamish just wouldn't exist in the same way that it does now. So yeah, obviously a huge thank you to everyone who has contributed over the years. And there have been lots of variations of this. We obviously, looking back, we had the Kofi, and then we moved on to Leveler. And for those saying, "Oh, Sammy, what's the next one going to be?" We just want to reiterate that for the foreseeable, this is it now, right?
Yeah.
Like this Substack, and then we're done, effectively. It's the last change.
No, we really want this one to stick. We have moved a couple of times. Look, things change, right? It's been a really volatile time for the media industry trying to work out the best ways of funding ourselves. But I think ultimately, like, whilst the platform has changed, the ethos hasn't. Trying to keep all the content free, it being very much a support us if you can model is exactly what we're trying to go for. And like, people might be saying, but don't you have advertisers? And we do. Don't get us wrong, there are adverts on the podcast, there were adverts on the website. We took a decision 3 or 4 years ago not to directly promote gambling content, i.e. us reading it ourselves, and we try as best as we can to get the third party advert providers to turn off gambling advertisement, because personally, like, quite a few members of Fulhamish really were anti-gambling, and we respect that, and we know that the dangers of promoting gambling, particularly to some of our younger listeners, can be. So we try to turn that off. That has a big limiting effect, and also just we can't the money from the advertising. If we just had that, it just doesn't add up. Like, if you look at a flow chart of the income, the advertising money doesn't support the costs. But the little bit of advertising that we do receive, plus the really generous support that we get from the subscribers previously to Leveler and now hopefully to Substack, it does just about make ends meet. So I think, that was one thing that I wanted to say is like, yes, like, we do get some advertising revenue, but it isn't an awful lot, and we just can't depend on it. The fluctuation is huge. One month it's, that's a good month, and then the next month you're genuinely earning pounds and pence. Like, it's that volatile that's why, the consistency of the subscribers has actually been absolutely vital. And I hope that people realise that, because sometimes I think we're not good enough at sometimes saying thank you, but honestly, the people that do subscribe already are absolutely vital and have been vital for a number of years. Yeah,
for sure. So in essence, thank you to everyone who has if it hasn't already been said enough, who has subscribed in the past. And if you're considering signing up to Substack, please do. It just means that Fulhamish can stay free for the people who maybe can't afford to subscribe, and just means that we can sort of keep doing what we're doing. So anything else you'd like to add, Sammy, before we wrap up?
Fulhamish.co.uk, that's the easiest way to subscribe. All the links are there. If you've got any questions, please feel free to maybe email us, hello@fulhamish.co.uk, or reach out to us on the number of platforms that we have. But I think just a massive thank you to everyone that supports us, and everyone that contributes to Fulhamish as well. All of the contributors that we currently have and have had in the past are absolutely vital, and and all the kind words that we always receive as well. They mean the world. And should we go back to maybe just discussing transfers in the next episode?
Yeah, no, let's do that. Sounds good to me. We'll see you next time.